I'm Laura Lee, and today I'll be sharing with you my primary source analysis. I hope you enjoy. This law, primary source analysis. I used a three-step process where I first looked at the Hammurabi Codex for markups on the stele, as it had shown more laws than the Hammurabi on the screen. So after that, I would go to the Hammurabi resource that we had for the translation, the section name, and to have a larger scale picture of the law. And then I would look for the law on the 3D stele as my final part of the process. So I found 3 Babylonian words, which I just figured it would be nice to include all 3. So the first was ilkum, which was mentioned in the agricultural obligations, and it is a word for the system of state service and exchange of land. A redum, which I found a little bit more research on, is a soldier, and they held land for the ilkum. They were referenced more so than the ilkum, with the laws applying to them instead of laws applying to them about the ilkum. And they were typically mentioned together, as well as with the Bairam, which is a fisherman. I would like to apologize in advance in case I most likely didn't pronounce any of those right. My first law that I found was the Agricultural Obligations, Law 27, in which I saw them, and they were repeated in other laws under the Agricultural Obligations that I didn't choose. I chose this one because the markup was pretty big and it had a distinct line of where it started, which helped me find it on the stele pretty easy, as well as using the symbols, which was a little hard to zoom in on in the Hammurabi resource, but it was easier on the stele. Here's my close-up shot that I got of it. My second law was agricultural tenant section, Law 53. This one was a little bit more difficult in the sense that I could find where the markup was, but I couldn't find the distinction between Law 53 and Law 52 for a little bit, just because of how cut off it is shown down here in the Hammurabi resource. And then here's a closer version. I wasn't able to zoom up enough to show it all, and if I cropped the photo, it would be too blurry to see, so here it is. And then my final law was of family and divorce section, Law 133. This was probably the hardest one to find, as I had a hard time finding the exact markup. It had a huge section, but there was a lot of sections that had a markup similar, but I was able to find it due to this exact symbol where my mouse is right now. And then once I found it, it was easy. As you can see, here's the symbol right here. And once again, I wasn't able to zoom in more, but as this section is somewhat larger, I feel like it's okay. Something I learned about Babylonian era was that they seemed to be somewhat fair in how their laws were placed. Obviously, it seemed, with the amount that they had, somewhat strict, but I found that it was fair in the sense that if someone accused you of being a witch or of stealing, if it was proved that you're not, then that person would deal the punishment that would be given had you been guilty, which I found to be quite fair because I find that in a lot of things it's not a lot of proof, and it's kind of somewhat taking word for it immediately, so I found that interesting. Issues that I faced was that I'd spent a long time thinking that how the Hammurabi resource and the script that we were given, they were shown vertical, and I had been viewing the seal as thinking that it was also vertical on there, and when it was actually horizontally shown, which is my mistake. I should have realized, but it took me a really long time to realize that, and then after that it took me a little bit to realize whether it was then reading left to right or right to left, which I found that reading right to left was just easier for me. So yeah, and that's everything. Here's my bibliography. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.